हेलो बच्चों, हाउ आर यू ऑल? हेलो एसएस, हेलो पीआर, वेलकम टू Amazon Academy to all of you. Quick attendance, 175 marks in first shift. Good job, not bad at all. Hi Akshay, hello. So this is the class on dual nature of radiation and matter, right? Hi SB, hello AS. I think you will get marks. I hope should not be a problem. 2 and 2.00 should not make a lot of difference. That is fine. So how you all feeling? Excited? What are the feelings? New month, new beginnings, right? Can I listen to this class without listening to actual class? I didn't get your message, beta. SU. Can I listen to this class without listening to actual classes? Uh, I think dual nature of radiation and matter is more or less covered, but mostly photoelectric effect. If you have covered your basics of even school level content, then also it will be useful for you. Okay, right? Yes. So let us go and see what we have for discussion today. So, bachcho, about myself, for those who don't know me, my name is Ashish Gupta. I did my BTech from IIT Bombay, and I had decent enough marks and rank, and I've taught at many coaching institutes as well. But bachcho, I don't have any kind of ghamand, right? Now, ghamand is bad ego, I guess. So I hope you all will be familiar with that word. So, bachcho, what are the live class best practices? You have to join classes on time, attend all classes, revise previous topics, be polite, never spam, use my doubt section. And system requirements are quite basic as well. You have to use either Chrome or Firefox, Android version 6 and above, and a little bit of internet speed of 5 Mbps and above. So, bacho, for this crash course, this is the basically second segment of the crash course. Earlier, we had discussed about almost everything, right? And this is a new crash course which is for March and April attempt specifically. And we have identified some 45 chapters out of 91. And we are going to cover 19 chapters right now and 26 chapters for April attempt. This is for complete syllabus. So there is a dedicated timetable which all of you can go through as well, bacho. That can be downloaded from class material. This course will help in revising previous topics. So we are going to revise previous topics as well, and you can also keep solving the DBP and the practice problems which are on Amazon Academy app. So this is the chapter list which you can all go through. Okay. So today we are going to discuss dual nature of radiation and matter, and after that electric potential, capacitance, current, rotation, work by energy, right? And after March attempt, these all topics will be covered. Okay. So, bacho, before starting today's class, again, a thing to remember. I think usually what happens after a set of exams that many kids feel disappointed with respect to their performance. They don't really feel well. They don't really feel like pushing hard. So, bacho, there is again a very good motivational quote which I find really inspiring. I have used this in my life as well. So, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. So, there is always hope in whichever situation you are. You must try to give your best, look at the bright side, and keep pushing forward. Okay. So, bacho, let's go on to these are the fundamental concepts. Basically, we are going to discuss photoelectric effect and the very popular de Broglie wavelength, right? In detail, we'll see what all questions have come in recent exams. Hi, Ranveer from Juhu, Mumbai. So, Bacho, any doubts in DBP before we start on to the discussion of today's class? Any doubts in yesterday's DBP? Any question you want to ask quickly? Giving you an opportunity to ask if you want, Bacho. I think the DBP had some 8 questions. So, okay. So, seventh question AS. Let's see. I think magnetic field was given as B naught into 1 plus X by L K cap, and you had to find, I think, force on the wire CD segment, right? CD segment. So, bacho, in that the current is flowing like this. Since the magnetic field for CD part can be assumed constant, because over here x coordinate is L, so this magnetic field will come out to be B naught into 1 plus L by L becomes 2. So B vector comes out to be constant. And now force can be written as I into L cross B, right? So if we substitute the values, we should get the answer. L vector can be written as, L, and direction will be minus j cap cross. B will be 2 B naught k cap. So that will give you the answer as 2 B naught L into I minus I cap, right? So this is the answer. Minus I cap means towards left. Is it okay? Fine. Anything else? Anything else in DBP? Any question which you want to ask, bachcho? Else we will continue and we'll first revise the topic that we discussed yesterday. Let me see how many of you remember the formulas that were discussed yesterday. So what I would like you all to do is that get a notebook in front of you. I am as excited as you are, SU. Great to know that you are excited. So to revise, write down on your notebook the formula which I am mentioning. Write down these formulae. I'm not writing down the formula. I'm writing down the questions. In fact, for which the for what you have to write down the formula. Okay, so like magnetic field due to infinite wire, you have to write down the formula for that. So don't write it down in the chat box. Do it yourself on the notebook, and I won't give you a lot of time. So I'll just give you 30 seconds more till the last formula that I have written to be asked. Okay, so I won't give you a lot of time. You just have to write down the formula. Okay, magnetic field due to finite wire, magnetic field due to circular coil at center and on its axis. There are two different formulae, so try to write down both of them. Apart from that, magnetic field due to solenoid, and everywhere I'm asking magnitude only. Don't worry about the direction. I know that you know how to find out the direction. I'm just asking the magnitude. Okay, then try to write force on a current carrying wire, force on current carrying wire. Beta K8, try to write down these formulae. We are basically revising what we discussed yesterday. So try to write down these formulae in your notebook, and then we will start off with the dual nature of radiation and matter. Okay, first we are revising. So also write down the formula when B is constant, right? Apart from these, write down force on moving charge, force on moving charge in B vector and E vector, right? Then radius of circular path, then radius, after radius time period, then pitch of helix, then magnetic moment of loop, and finally torque due to B vector. Okay, so try to write down the formula. I'm giving you just 30 seconds more now, not much time, and I'll start writing after that. So then you can compare and see whether you have done it correctly or not, and do calculate the time that I take to write down the same formula. Has anybody done it? Has anybody completed? Do let me know if you have completed. But I am now going to start writing. Okay. Force on moving charge, and you can compare, right? And you can also see how much time I am taking to recall and write the values. Radius of circle, time period, pitch of helix, magnetic moment, torque, force on current carrying wire, when magnetic field is constant, and there is another form BIL. It has the assumption as well. Magnetic field due to solenoid on its axis. Magnetic field at center. Finite wire. Infinite wire. There should not be any doubt, and you have to be very quick. You should be able to recall them very, very, very quickly. Okay. Right. Great job. Good job. SB, do compare now and check whether you have done it correctly or not. AS and SS, please check. Did any of you get all correct? Or did you miss something? Quickly let me know. And then we will start off with dual nature of radiation and matter. Good job, SB. Good, good, SR. So basic idea is that you must be able to remember the formulae, and whatever you have discussed yesterday, we have to again, revise it the following day. So whatever we study today, I'll try to make sure that we revise it tomorrow so that your memory lanes are fit and fine. Okay. How to learn these? You basically must be of class 12th or dropper, right? This class is of 12th and 12th plus. Beta RF, because we have already discussed these things yesterday. Yeah. So whatever you have missed, do make sure that you keep revising and don't make any kind of mistake when you are replicating these formulae. Good job, K. Good, good. So let's go on to the topic of today, bacho. Right? Dual nature of radiation and matter. So when we study about dual nature of light, you must have studied in your 10th class, and wave particle duality. That is a very popular term given to the dual nature of light. So light behaves both like a particle and like a wave, right? Okay, so when whatever you have missed, bachcho, do check it in the previous classes or in the recording. So let's start off with the dual nature of radiation and matter now. So, bachcho, particle nature, actually there are certain phenomena that can be discussed only through particle nature, and there are certain phenomena that can only be discussed through wave nature. Now, what are those phenomena for wave nature? Interference. Then there is diffraction. Yes, beta. Yes, PS. This, and there is polarization, right? And there are certain phenomena that can be discussed only using particle nature of light. For example, what we are going to discuss today is photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect, right? Given by the most popular and the most famous scientist Albert Einstein, whose date of birth, whose birth date is going to come in this month, and that's extraordinary month because all great people have birthdays in this month, right? I'm not saying that in other months the great people can't have their birthdays, but yeah, all March, date of birth guys are so brilliant and so extraordinary, like right, like Mr. Albert Einstein, Mr. Amir Khan, and there are certain people, even more people can be there, right? Just joking. So, so, but today what we have to discuss, is photoelectric effect, right? So what we have to discuss today is photoelectric effect, and there are certain phenomena which can be discussed. Thank you, Bacho. Thank you. You got my feelings. You understood what I was trying to convey. So the thing is that there are certain phenomena which can be discussed by both particle as well as wave nature. So, Bacho, for example, reflection, refraction, right, dispersion. So these phenomena can be discussed by using both particle as well as wave nature. If you have observed your NCRT book, the NCRT book has a very good description of reflection and refraction of light using wave theory, right? The Huygens wave principle they have used, and then they have explained reflection and refraction. So that is a wonderful thing to go through. Okay, great. I mean, your birthday is also in this month, so you are so fortunate, right? So, bacho, let's go on to discussing the photoelectric effect. So, what we can say about the photoelectric effect? This is the phenomena of light. Phenomena of light in which electrons are emitted from a metal surface when radiation of sufficient frequency is incident on it. So see, there were certain experiments which were made on observing this phenomena. So when a UV radiation was incident on a zinc plate, then there was observation that electrons are coming out of the metal surface. So that phenomena is now known as the photoelectric effect, right? So what we say over here is that the electrons are given certain minimum energy, and there is certain minimum energy which they need to come out of the metal plate. We call that energy as work function, right? So work function which is represented by phi, that is the minimum energy given to electron to escape from metal surface, right? So what we say over here is that bachcho, if light is made of small photons, okay, there are certain small photons, and that is why the particle nature is discussed over here. So light is made up of photons and photon energy. Any idea about what energy of photon is, bachcho? Energy of photon. What is the energy of photon? Quickly tell me. What is the energy of photon? Photon energy, any formula? Any shortcut? Any idea? What is the energy of photon? Quickly. Have you all taken lunch or not? Why does what should I say? Why does the energy seem a little bit low? H nu. You can use V for nu if you want. Don't worry about finding nu over here. Energy of photon is H nu, where nu stands for frequency, obviously. And this is also equal to Hc by lambda, right? Where lambda stands for wavelength. This is wavelength. I also haven't taken lunch, don't worry. Right? I don't like taking lunch before the class. So I usually have my meals after the class. Right? So we are both same. Okay, so those who have taken lunch, good job. You should be full of energy. And if I have not taken lunch and still I am so full of energy, then you all should be, very responsive and very quick in giving the answers. Okay, good job. So I have got so many responses now. Good. So what we have to do now, bachcho, is that we are going to discuss Einstein's photoelectric equation. Okay. So what is that equation? The equation is that H nu, which everybody knows usually. I think so that you guys also are aware of it. That is the Einstein's photoelectric equation. That energy of photon is equal to work function plus the maximum kinetic energy of electron. How many of you are aware of it? Are all of you aware of this equation? Is there any doubt in this? Let me know. Maximum Ke, max Ke of emitted electron. Now, you have taken vada pav and Maggie and all of these things, so you are enticing me to also have my meal. Don't worry, I won't get enticed so easily. Now concentrate. Bachcho, see, think about it. H nu is the energy of photon incident, right? Energy of incident photon. Now what will happen is that photon will catch an electron and try to give its energy to that electron. And if suppose that electron attains the complete energy of photon, which we assume usually in particle nature, then it will use this phi energy to come out of the metal plate, right? It will use the phi energy to come out of the metal plate, and the remaining amount of energy it will use as its kinetic energy. So that is why we can say that the remaining energy is nothing but the max kinetic energy of emitted electron. And the thing is, you have to remember that it's not necessary that all the electrons have the same value of kinetic energy. I'll give you an example of it. Just listen very carefully. So suppose the incident light has photons, and each photon has energy equal to, suppose, 2 eV, right? Each photon has energy equal to 2 eV. Now this E is nothing but the H nu, right? This is nothing but H nu, right? Suppose the work function of this metal is 1.5 eV. So obviously, since incident energy is greater than work function, electrons will emit from this plate, right? Now the electrons which have been emitted their energy will range from, energy over here Ke ranges from 0 to zero point 0.5 eV. Do you understand how this value is coming? 0.5 is coming because h nu is 2, phi is 1.5, so the difference of them is 0.5. So kinetic energy of electron will range from 0 to 0.5. So the max value of kinetic energy becomes 0.5. Is it clear to all? Is it okay, Are? Think about it. Fine. You have to remember this fact. It's very important. Okay? Cool? Fine. Now, I think we are cool. So one more thing, one more very important fact, that suppose you have incident 1000 photons on it. So how many electrons will emit? बच्चों, suppose we have incident 1000 photons on it, then how many electrons will be emitted? बच्चों, why doesn't it absorb all the energy? The electron is absorbing all the energy. The electron is absorbing all the energy, but only 1.5 eV is used to come out. The remaining is as its kinetic energy, and during the process there will be some loss of energy as well. It will keep losing energy because of collisions, and something else as well might happen. So once it takes the energy, it has to come out. So during the process there will be some loss of energy as well. Okay. Electron volt unit conversion SU. So this is not something which you should ask me, right? 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 ki power minus 19 joule. Okay, happy? This E value, you should all be very familiar with this. I hope you are of class 12th, right? I don't want 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th class students to ask questions. They can attend the class for entertainment, no problem in that, but don't ask questions, okay? Yeah. So the thing is, if there are 1000 photons which are incident, how many electrons will come out? How many electrons will come out? Electrons probably would come out even less than 10. So I'll assume that 10 electrons come out. For example, 10 electrons come out. Even though the energy of each photon is more than the work function, still not every photon is going to kick off an electron. Electron will come out so easily. It won't happen like that. Okay. So now we will also define bachcho efficiency. Efficiency. How will you define efficiency? Efficiency is number of electrons emitted upon number of photons incident. Number of photons incident into 100%. Right? Please check. So, bachcho, nothing is ideal, right? Have you ever seen an ideal world in which 100% of 100% efficiencies are there? Have you seen any process like that? So there will be inefficiencies, and when we are going into atomic level, then the efficiencies have to be even multifold, right? So just understand that this is what is happening. Yeah, so this is the reason, right? This is just I told. So do let me know what is the efficiency for this one. What do you think? What do you think the efficiency for this emission will be? Bachcho, quickly tell me what is the efficiency over here. If 1000 photons are incident and only 10 electrons are emitted, what will be the efficiency? In percent. In percent. How much percent? So efficiency over here is for sure 1%, right? 10 upon 1000. 10 upon 1000 into 100. So that will give you 1%. Okay. Cool. Good. But there are a couple of terms associated with with the Einstein's photoelectric equation, which again I feel you must all be aware of, and we can write down over here, and we will remember this as well. That suppose work function is phi, so corresponding to this work function, the minimum frequency is called the threshold frequency. This is the minimum frequency the photon must have, and that is something which all of you must be aware of. You must have studied all of this in your school exams and school syllabus as well. This is the minimum frequency for electron to emit, right? And corresponding to nu threshold, the wavelength is called which wavelength? Bachcho, what is the wavelength corresponding to threshold frequency? Any answer? Thanks, AS. Oh my God. Thank you. Thanks for your wishes. So, what is the wavelength corresponding to threshold frequency? Any name associated with that wavelength? which is corresponding to threshold frequency. All of you must be really aware of this one because this is so easy. You must have studied it in even your school syllabus as well. Not a big deal. What is the wavelength called? Hint. There is a off. There is a off at the end. There is a off. No, not threshold. No, not stopping. There is a off. Cut off. Cut off wavelength. Okay. So threshold frequency is corresponding to cutoff wavelength. Cutoff, why cutoff? Because cutoff wavelength will be a maximum value, right? Threshold frequency is nothing but the minimum value because these are inversely, associated with each other. Okay. Is it fine? Any doubt in this? Is it okay? Any doubt up till now? So the minimum frequency is threshold and the maximum wavelength is cutoff. And since I see that many of you might not be knowing certain things, energy of photon, there is a shortcut formula over here that we write as hc by lambda. It can be converted into electron volt as 12,400 into lambda upon lambda, in Armstrong. So this is the energy in EV. Was any of you aware of this formula? 12,400 upon lambda in Armstrong. Lambda in Armstrong, and the answer will come in EV. Are you aware of this shortcut? Yeah. Okay, good. So what will be energy of photon, bachcho, whose wavelength is 6200 Armstrong? What is the energy of photon? What is the energy of photon associated with lambda is equal to 6200 Armstrong? Quickly, fatafat. Be very quick in your responses, bachcho. 2 EV. Right? 2 EV. Don't forget the unit over here. That is extremely important. EV, electron volt. Okay. Now let us go on to experimental study. Good job, bachcho. That means you are aware, right? Now aware. Experimental study of photoelectric effect. Now this is the phototube experiment. This is the phototube experiment. This is the phototube experiment. And bachcho, over here, if you observe, there is a cathode on which light is incident, right? And there is an anode on which these electrons which are getting emitted might go and reach over here. And once they reach, bachcho, there is an effective current flowing in the circuit. I hope this is clear to all. Once the electrons emit from here and reach here, then these electrons will go like this, and this sequence will keep on happening, and there will be a current flowing in this circuit. So, bachcho, what do we have to remember over here? Keep your focus, listen carefully. So, bachcho, what we are saying is that there are two terms associated with this. First of that term is called stopping potential and the second term is called saturation current. So first we will discuss saturation current, okay. So if you observe, bachcho, anode is at the positive terminal and cathode is at the negative terminal. So what is the direction of electric field? Tell me, what is the direction of electric field? Is it towards left or is it towards right? Bachcho, quickly tell me, what is the direction of electric field? Is it towards left or is it towards right? In this phototube, what is the direction of field right now? Left or right? Towards left. Good job. Towards left. Good. This is the direction of field. So the direction of force on the electron will be towards right. Think, because electron has a negative charge, so the direction of force will be towards right. So what will happen, bachcho? The electrons which will come out will experience a force which tries to get these electrons on the anode. Now let us consider that old experiment of ours, and suppose 1000 photons are incident in 1 second, out of which 10 electrons get emitted, but only 6 reach the anode. Only 6 reach the anode. That means, bachcho, those 4 electrons didn't have that kind of feeling to reach anode. They might have collided with others, or they might have been bored by something and they have gone back into the metal. It can, whatever happens, it can happen. But basically it happens that only 6 are reaching the anode, remaining 4 are not reaching. So what we can do in that case, bachcho, we can increase the potential. What will happen if we increase the potential? The force will start increasing in magnitude. And once it starts increasing, bachcho, there will be a situation that, this 6 starts increasing to 7, then to 8, and finally when it reaches 10. Bachcho, after that, Can I even increase the number of electrons further? Can the number of electrons increase from 10 to 20? If only 10 electrons are emitting and all the 10 electrons are reaching, there is basically a saturation in the circuit, right? And the current during that moment is called the saturation current. Understood? Easy, important term, but very easy. Is it okay? Max is 10, right? So whatever electrons which came out and they reach the anode, that time the current in the circuit is called saturation current. So I have written a definition of saturation current over here. Let us see what is written, and I hope you understand. The limiting current such that further increase in anode voltage causes no further increase in current is called the saturation current. Perfect. Any doubt in this, bachcho? Is it okay? I hope this is clear. Is it fine? Good. So, bachcho, let us see the second term, that is stopping potential. Now, what is stopping potential? Let us see. Now, stopping potential is basically doing the reverse of, what we were doing for saturation. Now, what we do is that we reverse the terminals. We make our cathode as the positive terminal and the anode as the negative terminal. Now, what will happen? Our electric field will change in direction, right? Electric field will change in direction, and once the electric field changes in direction, the force on electrons which were emitted will start repelling the electron. एक तरह से the anode, they won't be able to reach the anode. The electrons will in fact face repulsion. So some of the electrons might still reach, and suppose instead of 6 electrons, the 4 electrons reach the anode, and then you increase the potential even more, and once this 4 goes to 0, the minimum potential that we have over here, which causes no electron to reach the anode, is called the stopping potential. Understood? Stopping potential corresponding to no electron reaching the anode is called the stopping potential. Understood, bachcho? Is it clear to all? Because I'll be asking really interesting question based on it, and I really hope that some of you might be able to answer them, but you will be learning a pretty good deal through this discussion. Is it okay? So let us look at the English definition of stopping potential. So bachcho, stopping potential refers to voltage difference required to stop electrons from moving between plates and creating a current in the photoelectric experiment. The potential at which no electron has kinetic energy. I think this is a formula based definition, bachcho. DG. This is a formula based definition, and what we have discussed is the understanding of it, right? So stopping potential is basically an opposite potential which stops all the current flowing in the circuit, right? So the current will become zero. Okay. Now, is it okay? So let us consider a objective question, which is very interesting question. Let me see how many of you can answer this. I would really love if all of you attempt this question. So there is light of intensity I which is incident on the plate, right? Anode plate, in fact cathode plate, right? And over here the light has a frequency which is greater than threshold. So that means that electrons will come out. So the question is that what will happen to saturation current? What will happen to saturation current and stopping potential? What will happen to saturation current and stopping potential if intensity is doubled? Understood the question? So if intensity of light falling down is doubled, what will happen to saturation current and what will happen to stopping potential? So you have to give me the answer as, will it increase, will it decrease, or will it remain same? Okay, bachcho, think. So light is incident and the intensity of light is doubled, keeping frequency same. So what will happen to saturation current of the circuit and what will happen to stopping potential? Will it increase, will it decrease, or will it remain same? I have asked this question only on the basis of your understanding. There is no formula which I have given you right now. So I just want to check whether you understood this or not. Saturation current increases, stopping potential remains same. Beautiful answer. I think that is the correct answer. DG, good job. Please check, bachcho, think. PS, good job. Saturation current increases. Think. Good job. See, what is happening is that if intensity is doubled, and intensity is actually, let's understand the formula. It is the energy per unit area per unit time, right? So if I am saying area and time does not change, it remains the same. So basically energy incident is doubled. Energy incident is doubled. It means that suppose energy, now what is the source of energy? Photon. And photon, if n is the number of photon that is incident per unit time into hc by lambda, yeah, h nu, which is the energy of one photon. So if you have doubled this energy, it means you have doubled the number of incident photon. Think, is it clear? So if you have doubled the number of incident photon, then bachcho, electrons that will come out will also get almost doubled, right? And if the electrons get doubled at saturation, all these electrons will reach the anode. Think, instead of 1000 photons, if you incident 2000 photons, then instead of 10 electrons, you will find almost 20 electrons. Therefore, at saturation, you will definitely find a increase in saturation current. Please check, bachcho. Is it okay? Beautiful. Is it fine? Now, what about saturation potential? Stopping potential. Stopping potential. Now, understand what happens to stopping potential. Let us go back to bachcho, our Einstein uncle photoelectric equation. H nu is equal to phi plus Ke max, right? Now, what exactly is stopping potential? What is happening? Let us think. Now, stopping potential is basically eating all this Ke max, right? Because once the electron comes out, then the stopping potential eats everything. And we know the relation that K is equal to QV. So we can write down over here that this K max is nothing but E into Vs. Think, right? So this stopping potential is eating everything which is associated with K max. So we can write down over here that EVS is equal to H nu minus phi, and therefore Vs is equal to H by E into nu minus phi by E, and you can observe that Vs only depends on frequency. Rest everything is constant for a metal and for any surface. Is it fine? Yeah, Einstein uncle is even grand of grandpa, right? Yeah, he got he got the, I think he was born even before 1900, 1890 around, right? Do Google and let me know. I think I'm pretty close. 1890 around, I think he was born. So anybody who is born of that age would be right now around 130 plus years old. So that would be grand of grandpa, right? Grand of grandpa, like function of function x hota hai na. Similarly, grand of grandpa. Anyway, so bachcho, obviously Vs will not change at all, right? I know that he's dead PD. I know that. Yeah, unfortunately he's no more, but I think 1879. Yeah, pretty close. Great. So the stopping potential is, 14th March 1817. Oh, all great people are born on the same day. What we can say, right? Yes. Good job. So stopping potential will not change. Now a trick question, bachcho. Great, DG. Now a trick question. Let me see how many of you can answer this. I will actually give you a double thumbs up if you can answer this accurately. So let's see. Again, the light is getting incident on a metal plate. Okay. This time, bachcho, intensity remains same, but we are doubling the frequency. Frequency is doubled. Okay, frequency is doubled. Now what will happen to saturation current? Now what will happen to, how will saturation current and stopping potential change? Tell me, bachcho. Now whatever light is getting incident, the intensity remains same, but frequency is doubled. Okay. So how will stopping potential and saturation current change in the circuit? And this is a trick question. So be very careful. Think very closely what will happen to saturation current and stopping potential. So I'm still waiting for more people to answer. TP, you sure about the answer? why will saturation current decrease? So yeah, I think stopping potential is pretty easy, right? Stopping potential is equal to this formula we have written. So if the frequency is doubled, stopping potential has to increase, right? Stopping potential has to increase. It increases. And बच्चों, now to blow your minds, the saturation current decreases. Now, why does it happen? How is it possible? So it might blow your mind, but बच्चों, do think and try to have your eureka moment. No, it won't double. Stopping potential won't double, bachchon, because it is not directly proportional to frequency. There is a phi by E as well. So stopping potential is not doubled. It increases, but we cannot write doubled. I don't understand what you have written TP, like, E is HC by frequency. I don't understand that part because I want to find the reason why saturation current decreases. And I want you all to think why did it happen and try to give me a answer once you have your eureka moment. Let me see how many of you can have your own eureka moment. Anybody who understood why saturation current is decreasing? It's a wonderful question. And see, once they are done asking you very easy and silly questions in photoelectric effect, J is definitely going to, trigger a thought-based question in it. And so it is very easy, but it's very easy to even make a mistake. So, and should I tell the answer or you guys are thinking? Should I give you a moment or should I give you the reason? Why does saturation current decrease? Now, bachcho, think about how we, okay, I'm just waiting for 15-20 seconds more. But I just give you a hint, try to understand, relate. How do we define intensity, right? This is how we define intensity. Now think. And I think now many of you might have your own eureka moment. Please check. Yeah, TP, now I get it. Now I get it. Please check this formula, bachcho, of intensity. Are you able to understand your eureka moment now? If you double frequency, keeping area and time same, H is obviously constant. What will happen to N? How are the number of photons varying? Will the number of photons increase or decrease or remain constant? If you keep the intensity same and doubling the frequency, the number of photons incident would decrease or increase. I think it's a very interesting concept which I'm trying to explain, and many of you might be having your own eureka moment now. That if you are keeping the same intensity and increasing the frequency is doubled. So obviously this n will become half. If the frequency is doubled, n will become half. That means instead of 1000 photons, bachcho, 500 are now incident. So instead of 10 electrons coming out, only 5 will come out, and therefore the saturation current decreases. Understood? Understood? Is it okay? We can write over here that number of incident photons decrease, therefore number of electrons emitted decrease. Okay, good job, Omkar. Right? Let's go ahead now. So let me tell you what is the IV characteristic graph for phototube experiment, bachcho. I think this is another graph which you must have seen in your NCRT and the other books as well. Intensity always constant. No, not like that, but I have given you, bachcho. I had given in the question that intensity is constant. It is kept constant, right? That is the idea. So IV characteristic graph, bachcho, something like this is happening, and the question and the observation is that The Vs over here is same for all these three curves. And if you observe the currents, bacho, they are actually going towards saturation, right? So what do you think is different in these three curves? Any idea what is different in these three curves? Saturation current obviously is changing because once you keep on increasing the voltage, the maximum current reaches. So what is different? Why are these three lines arriving at different saturation currents? What is different in these three these three observations? Great, 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 great. If this is I1, this is I2, this is I3, and I over here is the intensity, then surely you can say, bachcho, now I3 is greater than I2 is greater than I1. Over here we can write down that the saturation currents over here are different for all. This is IS1, IS2 and IS3, right? So saturation currents are varying because intensity of light is different. Great, good. Next, effect of frequency on incident radiation on stopping potential. So बच्चों, we had discussed that h nu is equal to 5 plus Ke max. How can intensity be maintained same when frequency changes without changing area? Beta DG, what is the big deal? I'll decrease the number of photons which are incident. What is the problem in that? You have a torch and basically it is emitting photons. So I'll change the frequency of photon and through that I will also change the number of photons which are getting emitted. What is the problem in that? So in that manner the intensity can be maintained same. It's not a difficult thing to do, right? It's pretty straightforward. Now K max bachcho, it is E into Vs. So Vs is equal to H by E nu minus pi by E. And there is a very popular graph, very popular graph of frequency, or we can say Vs over here and frequency, right? So this will be nothing but a straight line. I hope this is clear to all. This is a straight line and the slope of the straight line tan theta is equal to what? Do tell me. Straight line. Guys, jaldi se batao quickly. What is the slope of this curve? And the constant over here will be minus phi by E, right? Please check. What is the slope of this straight line? H by E. Good job. Please remember that for a Vs versus frequency curve, the slope is constant. For all metals, whichever you want to take, if you draw Vs versus frequency graph for any of the metals, you will all find that the slope of all the straight lines are same, right? Next, effect of intensity of light on photocurrent. Now, bachcho, if we draw a I versus capital I graph, then interestingly we find a straight line passing through the origin. It's a linear curve that if you keep on increasing the intensity, the current will also increase correspondingly, right? So this is a graph which passes through the origin. It implies that intensity is proportional to current. Fine. And this is again very straightforward. If you double the intensity, then you double the incident photon. If you double the incident photon, then double electrons come out of the metal and the saturation current becomes double, right? I hope this is clear. Is it okay? Fine. And let us come now to the very popular de Broglie wavelength. Somehow this is the favorite topic of our JEE mains examiners, right? They keep on giving the same type of questions again and again, and I'm pretty sure they will be getting bored by this very soon. So what they might give? They might give you a different de Broglie wavelength to calculate. For example, for what? Let us see. First we should discuss this. So de Broglie wavelength is nothing but h upon p, which is also equal to h upon mv, which is also equal to h upon root 2 mke. Why? Because p is equal to root 2 mke. And if ke is equal to q into v, then lambda bachcho, that will come out to be h upon root 2 m q into v, right? This is the formula for finding de Broglie wavelength of any mass which is accelerated with potential v and having charge q. Now the favorite formula of JEE people is asking you the de Broglie wavelength of electron, right? And if you substitute the values of h, m of electron, q of electron, then you will get the value of lambda as root of 150 upon v in Armstrong, or you can say 12.27 upon root v in Armstrong. Fine. So I hope that you know this formula. Does anybody know the formula of de Broglie wavelength of proton and neutron? What is in denominator? And above there is, sorry, in denominator there is root v, and you will find the answer in Armstrong. So any idea of what the de Broglie wavelength of proton and neutron is? Any idea, bachcho? Any know-how of this? I think RA, you are a little far. I don't think it is correct. I don't think it is correct. I think Omkar a little far off. Check again. DG, you are also, I think, far, a little far. Maybe you can Google it and tell me, isn't it? Right? Neutron infinite. Not really. We can, just like we calculate our own de Broglie wavelength, bachcho, you know, in similar manner we calculate neutrons de Broglie wavelength. Okay. Yeah. And basically the thing is that, you know, we can say over here that it is 0.286 upon root v Armstrong. And how do you remember this number? Because you see, once they will get bored with electron, they will surely give you proton or something else. Do you remember that Wien's displacement law? Lambda max into T is equal to constant. What is that constant? Because you have to remember that constant for sure. What is the constant? Yeah, I know DG, I know it. But you have me to tell you which is right or wrong, right? That is why I told you to Google it. Don't worry. I won't let you go with the wrong answer, even if you get something to hold off. 0.288. Great job, Anjali. So if you remember this number by heart already, and this is in centimeter, right? Centimeter Kelvin, then you can easily get hold of this number. So they are very similar to each other. Even if you use 0.3 over here, it won't be a problem. You will get the correct answer because the options must be a little far off. So you can even use 0.3 over here. Similarly, bachcho, lambda of alpha particle is approximately 0.1 upon root v Armstrong. So this is another value which you can remember, so that if you get a question of finding the absolute de Broglie wavelength of alpha particle, you can do it very quickly. Fine? Because de Broglie wavelength is such a popular question which is asked in JEE that there is a good chance that they might give you to calculate de Broglie for some other particle except electron. Right? Is it okay now? Can you do this? 0.1 is a very easy number to remember, and from Wien's displacement law constant you can relate it with the de Broglie for proton and neutron. I have not used any charge for neutron. Obviously there is no charge, but I have used this form of Ke. Okay. Right. Now let us start solving some questions based on it. So bachcho, starting off with the question that you might have encountered in your 2021 exams, please try. Please try. So we can just compare the energies associated. So if you give, and don't make a mistake in this part, okay? Don't ever make a mistake, and be very careful when you're finding de Broglie wavelength, the ratio of their velocities. So which ratio is being asked? Don't make a mistake, bachcho. We have to solve 10 questions today. So I'll be asking you a total of 10 questions. Make sure you don't make a mistake in any of them. Either give the correct answer or keep working on getting a correct answer. Don't be in a hurry. So de Broglie wavelength of alpha and proton are equal, then ratio of their velocities are lambda of alpha is equal to h upon m alpha v alpha, and that is equal to h upon m of proton v of proton. So v of alpha upon v of proton is equal to m of proton upon m of alpha, which is surely equal to 1 by 4. Please check. Now, all of you which got the incorrect answers, bachcho, please check. You cannot make a mistake. Tharun, Shashwat, please check. It's very simple. There is no doubt about it. It's very, very simple, right? Next. Again, another question on de Broglie which you got in this year. And you might have solved it yourself, but even then, do make sure that you remember the concepts which are getting involved and don't make any mistake in, applying those concepts. Please check. So, de Broglie wavelength of proton varies linearly with linear momentum. Inversely, sorry, not linearly, inversely. So lambda is equal to h upon p. Obviously, inverse variation is there. So obviously, statement 1 is correct. As lambda increases, energy and momentum increases. Now lambda, if it is increasing, then momentum has to decrease. So this is wrong. Therefore, A statement is correct. Fine. Okay. Next. Please check. The work function of silver and sodium are 4.6 and 2.3 EV. The ratio of slope of stopping potential versus frequency plot. So for those, what will be the ratio for silver to sodium? Obviously one, right? Because EVS is equal to h nu minus phi. So Vs is equal to h by E phi minus phi by E. So the slope has to be equal to h by E, which is a constant. If you take either of silver or sodium, it does not matter. So slope ratio has to be 1:1 for sure. Next, which we have discussed already, right? So there is not a problem. It's the same thing. Next. Good job, Anjali, Akshay. Next. Definitely. Good, Omkar. I think these questions have to be very straightforward. The photon energy in first is twice the work function. So basically, for the first beam, h nu is equal to phi, right? And we can say that in fact twice 2 phi. So k max is nothing but equal to phi, which implies half m v1 square is phi. For second, in the other one, 10 times the work function is there. So h nu for second is 10 times phi. So that k max corresponds to 9 phi, right? We have used our Einstein's photoelectric equation. So h nu dash is equal to phi plus k max. So k max comes out to be 9 phi. Now that means half m v2 square is equal to 9 phi. If you divide these two equations, then v1 upon v2 comes out to be 1 by 3. And therefore the ratio x is to y gives x plus y is equal to 4. That is the answer of this question, right? Any doubt in this? Anything you want to ask, bachcho? Is it okay? Any problem? Good. Next. Too easy. But don't make a mistake. An alpha particle and proton are accelerated from rest under potential difference of 200 volt. Find ratio of their de Broglie wavelength. Good. Option Aryan, Onkar, Akshay. Nice. Now for alpha particle, lambda of alpha is equal to h upon. Now we are given the same potential difference of 2m alpha and q of alpha into v, whereas lambda of proton, and do solve it once more. Even if you remember the form, remember the answer, don't do like it. Basically, you solve it once so that you become more confident of the manner in which you have to solve it. And if you just divide these two, then you will get root of mpqp upon m alpha q alpha. So that will give you root of 1 by 4 into 1 by 2. That will give you 1 by 2 root 2. Please check. This is great. Option D is fine. Good job, Ranveer. So now we come on to a question which will hurt your brain, right? You might actually be remembering the answer of this question, but I don't want that. I would really love all of you to solve it properly and check whether you are able to get an appropriate answer to this question. Please check, bachcho. Let me see how many of you get the answer. Aaron, it won't be that easy to calculate the answer in this time frame. I understand that you know the answer right now through answer key, but please try to, you know, get the answer of this question by yourself, and I'll be back in a moment. I'll be back in a moment. I don't think the solution of this is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I know it, Akshay, that you know it beforehand only, but it's a lengthy question. Let us see if you can decrease the length of solution of this problem. Let's see. So the first equation that we will make over here, bachcho, uh, I think the correct answer is option B over here. Let us see how we calculate this. Okay. Yeah, it's a really tricky calculation if you try to solve it. But let me share some, we can say shortcut or something which will help you in getting the answer, right? So, in case of the first part, we can say that the stopping potential Vs, and we know the formula, right? EVS is equal to H nu minus phi. So, EVS and the stopping potential is 0.71 volt. So basically we can say that if you divide this by E, then we can write Vs as 0.71 is equal to, now this Hc by lambda can be written as 12,400, but in nanometer it is given, so 1240 upon 491, and this will give you the answer in electron volt. So basically we have used this E to get this value, and we can write over here 5 by E. Please check if this is correct. And similarly, bachcho, the second equation will be 1.43 is equal to 1.43 is equal to 1240 divided by lambda. This will give the value in EV, and you can remove the E over here to get the answer in this format. Okay. So is it fine? Now we have to solve it for lambda. So what you can do, you can subtract these two equations to get the value as 0.72 is equal to 1240 1 upon 491 minus 1, in fact 1240 upon 491 minus 1240 upon lambda. So we can write lambda as, let's see what lambda as can be written as. This will go over here, this will go over here. Let us take one more step. So 1240 upon lambda can be written as 1240 upon 491 minus 0.72. And now you can write lambda as 1240 into 491 upon, is it okay? Just check. I think we have made a mistake over here. So this will become plus, and this will be 1240 plus 0.72 into 491. Now just see what the shortcut is, right? See what the shortcut is. You will really love it. So the thing is that when I observe 1240 as compared to 491, right? I think here it is nanometer. Okay, so we have used 1240, not 12400. Okay, so when I see 1240, it's basically bachcho 2.5 times 500. Now that mathematics should be in your head. If you love mathematics, if you love numbers, then you will be able to understand what I am saying. That basically, 500 into 2.5 is equal to 1250, right? So what I'll say is that 491 into 2.5 is approximately 1240, right? And I know that this is a little bit more than 2.5, so I might even use 2.52 because I'm good at that. Okay, so what I will say is that this number over here 1240 can be written as 2.52 into 491, and when I do that, the lambda will come out to be 1240 into 491 upon 491 into 2.52 plus 0.72. This will become 3.24. Now this 491 cancels out. Please check. So this is nothing but bachcho 1240 upon 3.24. Now see what I am doing. You will love it. So if I decrease the denominator by 8% and I decrease the numerator by 8%, I still get the same value, right? I still get the same value. So instead of 3.24, I will be left with 3, and instead of 1240, 8% of 1240 is 100. So I will be left with 1140, approximately 100, right? 12.5 into 8 is 100. So this number comes out to be 380 nanometer, and I will pick the most closest option to that, that is option B. Did you get it? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I did not do any other calculation except a simple, sense of what percentages look like. So those questions which are very, very easy are in one spectrum of this chapter, and in the other spectrum, there are certain questions which will take a lot of time and a lot of energy of you to understand and solve. So either you can leave those questions which you see that there is a lot of calculation involved, or you can use these small tricks. Okay, any step which you want me to repeat, I can repeat. Do let me know. Look at this solution once. Is it okay? Good, Omkar. Did you like it? Do you think that it is useful to get the answer quickly instead of multiplying 4-digit number with a 3-digit number, then adding this and dividing that and that? I think this is pretty useful. Once you develop a habit of dealing with percentages, you will find it really useful. From second equation, pi by e is this. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay. Yes. And bacho, obviously, when we have written de Broglie wavelength, also remember that over here, if anybody is still getting confused, lambda of neutron, right? For lambda of neutron, you can use V as the Ke energy. Ke, that is kinetic energy of neutron, right? And that should be in EV. Okay. Use that and you will get the correct answer. Fine. because the mass is same as that of proton, so we just have to take Ke of neutron over there and use the form of EV, and you will still get the correct answer. Next question, again an interesting question, bachcho. Again an interesting question. Please try. Ting, ting, ting. Now this has simple calculation. It's not that complicated. So I really would love all of you to try this question out. And these are all important questions at the end. These are not 5 second, 10 second type questions. They will take some of your time, but you will develop an important concept, and you won't, ever be afraid of getting the answers for these set of questions. Now this has tough calculation. I think this has a tricky calculation, but for the questions which are uh, pi by e as this lambda, pi by e, phi by e. Okay, so basically, bachcho, phi by e just gets cancelled out. No, this is h nu. This is a representation of h nu. Okay, and nu is c by lambda. Nu is c by lambda. So this is nothing but hc by lambda, right? And hc is equal to 1240 nanometer. Fine. No, I did not write pi by e as 1240 by lambda. It is h nu. H nu is written as 1240 by lambda. Okay. Fine, TB. Good. Try out this question as well. Again a complex maths problem, but let me try again for you to observe that how do I do my calculations, and maybe my time is a little bit lesser because I try to involve certain tricks. I don't really think of getting the exact answer. I try to get close to the exact answer. Okay, so see, radiation with wavelength this falls on the metal surface to produce photoelectrons. The electrons are made to enter a uniform magnetic field. Radius is given as 10. So radius is bachcho mv by qb. That gives you 10 की power minus 2. 10 mm को I have converted into meter. The mass of electron is 1.6 in, sorry 9.1 into 10 की power minus 31. Or we have to write in terms of kinetic energy. So I'll use this root 2m ke factor, ke of electron divided by QB. Q of charge is 1.6 into 10 की power minus 19, and B is given as 3 into 10 की power minus 4. Observe all the students who want to save some time in getting the answers. Do observe 10 की power minus, I think 31 is there, right? For kinetic energy, I just want to find this value from this equation first, because then I will apply h nu is equal to 5 plus ke max, right? And I'll put this ke max over here. H nu is equal to 12400 divided by 6561, and then I will find the value of phi. So this is the question. Obviously it's a bit complex, but let me try to get the answer quickly. Let us see. So when I will take this into LHS, I'll get 4.8 into 10 ki power 19 and 4 23 and 225, and over here it comes to be equal to 9.1 into 2, that makes it 18.1. But I want kinetic energy in EV, right? So what I'll do is, bachcho, I'll divide this by 1.6 into 10 ki power minus 19, and not over here. First let me square on both sides. So when I'll do squaring, but what I'll observe is that kinetic energy of electron The term that is getting over here is 4.8 ka square, and the term that is getting over here is 18.1. I don't really worry about 10 ki powers because I already know that they are being accounted in EV. I don't really care about it. When I have to get the answer in EV, then I will divide it by 1.6 and there will be some 10 ki power x and the answer will come in EV, right? So what about this number? This number is quite close to 24 because 5 square is 25. So this is quite close to 24. This is 18. So 18 divided by 24 is again close to 1.3 something. And if you multiply this by 1.6 and then divide, so you'll have to get a mental idea of how much the value might come, right? So that will probably give you a close number to 0.8. I am not worried about 10 ki powers over here. I know that the complete value will be very close to 1, like 10 ki power 1, 10 ki power 0, right? So 0.8 EV might come. But over here, when I look at this number, now 6500 double is 13,000. So this number is very close to 1.9. And if I subtract 1.9 to 1.8 to 0.8, the closest possible option that I look as 1.1 EV. Check bachcho, do you understand? Did you understand how did I encounter this question? I did not solve the complete question. I just wanted to find the closest possible answer which will give me full marks in probably half the amount of time. If you spend a lot of time in thinking that, okay, so I have to get the exact value of KE, I have to get the exact value of, the work function, then you will spend a lot of time and you will become even more frustrated. Usually it happens with us that when we are solving questions and we spend a lot of time in that question, that we become even more frustrated and we, do some more silly mistakes in our next questions and which we don't want to do. Okay. So these tricks somehow, help you to, save some time, but you should be good in numbers. You cannot just make random guesses, but you should be good in numbers. You should think quickly that how much percent error I am accounting for. Is it fine? Any doubt in this? Is it okay, bachcho? Next question. Okay, so 12400 upon 6561 VK. So just mentally think that 6500 double is 13,000, right? And how far we are from 13,000? If you look at it, how far we are from 13,000? We are around 600 points away. And 600 points away is nothing but 0.1 of 6561. So instead of 2, you will get 1.9. Did you understand? Go with percentages. 10% of 6561 is close to 600. So basically you are accounting for 0.1 of the value. So if there was 13,000, I would have taken closer to 2. And since we are 600 away from it, I am going towards 1.9. Thanks DG, thank you. Did you understand VK? RG, you have to fall in love with numbers, nothing more, right? You have to keep thinking, think like 99 upon 100. So how much percent you are away from 100 in numerator? So you are 1% away from it. So similarly 99 upon 200. So you are basically 0.5% away from percent. When I'm talking of percentages, think like that. So 199 upon 200. So I'm effectively 0.5% away from 200. So that will even give you more confidence to work with larger numbers. So once you have worked with easier numbers and then you will start working with larger numbers, you will feel more comfortable. So I'm not saying that you will develop that comfort in a day or two, but there is always a hard work involved and there is always you have to remain curious, you have to try, and you have calculator in front of you. So you can keep checking whether what you have assumed is correct or not. Okay. So I will share one more trick at the end of the class if it is possible. First solve these two questions. I'll at least share one more number which I find children to be very afraid of, but I think that is very easy to work with. Okay, so let us solve. I think there are two questions, three in fact. Oh my god! So let's see if we can complete these three questions. Yeah. So this is another good question, bachcho. A metal plate of given area is illuminated by radiation of intensity. The work function is given, and now the calculations are pretty smooth. Now the calculations are not that tough. And bachcho, over here you can use the formula of intensity as energy upon area into time, and energy is equal to bachcho n into energy of one photon, which we discussed earlier as hc by lambda, right? Or h nu as well. Yeah, I think option C is correct, Omkar. This is nice, but just do make sure that you solve as well. Okay. Intensity is given in, I think intensity is given in megawatt per meter square. So we can write this as 16 into 10 ki power milli, in fact, 10 ki power minus 3 into area. Area is 10 ki power minus 4. That will give you energy. Let us assume time to be 1 second. So how many photons are incident per second? We will get n as the number of photons per second. So n into energy of one photon. What is the energy of one photon? 10 eV. So 10 into 1.6 into 10 ki power minus 19. And we love this number because all of this gets cancelled off. N will come out to be 10 ki power minus 12. But if you just fall with this answer and tick this option, it will be wrong because it has asked number of photoelectrons emitted, not the number of photons emitted. So number of photoelectrons is equal to 0.1 times n, that is equal to 10 ki power 11. And obviously Ke max is h nu minus 5, so that will give you 5 eV. So the answer is option C. Please check. Is it okay, bachcho? Is it fine? Did you understand? Number of photons is different from number of photoelectrons. Is it okay? Good. Next. Now this question has to be done within 30 seconds. It's pretty easy. 2 equations, 2 variables. Please try solving it quickly. VK, DG, RG, Omkar, quickly. Take it as a challenge and try to solve this question within a minute. Now it is a simple application of h nu is equal to 5 plus Ke max, right? So Ke max is nothing but bachcho EVS. So we can say that Vs is equal to h by E nu minus 5 by E, right? So the first equation that we will get is V is equal to, and we can write this as hc by lambda because we are given lambda over here. So V is equal to hc by lambda, and we can write over here E minus 5 by E, but मेरे को 5 चाहिए, we need 5. So let's keep E over with Vs only. So we can write down the equation as E into V is equal to hc by lambda minus 5. This is the first equation. And the second equation will be E into V by 4 is equal to how much? hc by 3 lambda minus 5. So if you subtract these two equations, bachcho, what will you get? 3 EV by 4 is equal to 2 by 3 hc by lambda. That gives you EV as 8 by 9 hc by lambda. And if you just substitute this over here, then we get phi as hc by 9 lambda, and therefore the value of n will be 9. Okay, please check. Yes, Akshay, you are correct. The value of n will be 9. So the last question for today, bachcho, let us see. Let us see this question, and I would really love all of you to do yourself, because this is again a replica of the question that we did a while back. Just don't commit any mistake. Again, the logic of intensity and number of photons incident, the logic that we discussed earlier is being used over here. So the surface area is given in centimeter square itself, and intensity also as a unit of centimeter square. So quickly you can get the energy incident over here. Energy incident is equal to 6.4 into 10 ki power minus 5 into 1. This is energy incident per second, right? So that will be equal to the number of photons incident per second, number of photon incident per second into energy of one photon. So what is the energy of one photon? Let us see what it is given. Lambda is 310 nanometer. So that is equal to 1240 upon 310, which fortunately is 4. And this is in EV. So EV, we have to use the conversion factor. And once you do that, suppose this is N. So N comes out to be equal to 6.4 will get cancelled. This will come out to be 10 ki power 14. Now efficiency is 0.1%. So number of electrons will be equal to 10 to power 14 upon 10 ki power 3, that is 10 ki power 11. And that gives you the value of X as 11. Please check. Understood? Right? So, bachcho, I was talking about a number. So, the number 0 degrees Celsius or 273 Kelvin is very extensively used. So, you can use the fact that 273 is 10% away from 300. 10% away from 300. So, how will it help you? It will help you in a manner that suppose it is given like this. Like, 700 upon 273 you have to find. So, what you can do, you can increase the denominator by 10% and you increase the numerator by 10%. So what will happen is this will become 770 upon 300. And if you solve this, it becomes really very easy to get the answer. What is this equal to? This is approximately, you can say 325.66, right? So this will become 2.566. And that is the answer of 700 upon 273. Got the idea? Okay. So you can use this form of calculation to get rid of 273, and it will really help you a lot. 273, 10% is 27. So if you add 273 with 27, you get 300. Right? So that is the trick of the day, and it will really help you in getting the answers quickly. And you will always try, you can actually use it in your calculations as well. Okay. Great. So, bachcho, we are done for today. I hope all of you liked the session. You got something useful out of it. And what we have discussed in this session is, those things which are very much expected to come in your March and April attempts. So, bachcho, all the very best to all of you. No, never ever, beta, Akshay. All the very best to all of you. And we will meet very soon. Keep attending the classes on Amazon Academy. And there are so many things to do on the app as well. So the next class, bachcho, will be on electric potential and capacitance, that is due for tomorrow. And you can attend the classes in Hindi at 9 a.m. in the morning or in English at 1 p.m. Right, bachcho? So thank you to all of you. Thank you, Are. Thanks, RG. Thank you, Akshay, Omkar. You can send your names quickly so I can call your names again. I like calling names. Bye, Bala. Bye. Thanks. Thank you, beta. Bye, VK. Bye, Anand. Bye, बच्चों. Bye, AS. Bye, Nikita. Bye, Varun. Bye, Akshay. Bye, Tharun. Bye, Omkar. We will discuss wave optics, bachcho. It will, I think, or you can also attend the crash course which you already took last month. That will also help you a lot. That was a great class. Thanks, Akshay. Bye. Bye, VK. Bye bye. So, bachcho, we'll meet tomorrow. So, this is Ashish signing off. And bye bye to all of you. God bless you all. Keep working hard. Keep improving yourself, bachcho. All the very best to all of you. Take care. Bye bye. Bye, bachcho.
For detailed videos, daily practice problems and live chat, visit academy.amazon.in or download the app.